Good evening. Uh, good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Uh, you, Jacob, Daniel. I want to talk more important issues here. Here in the United States. I know we have been focusing on. Yeah. Good evening. Good evening, Jacob, and how you doing this evening? Uh, I'm glad you joined me live. Um, it's 8 p.m. here in the United States, and I'm going to talk about one important things in terms of political participations. You know, elections is essential. It's a very, very important. And I want to talk why you see many. Sorry for the poor network problems. I don't know why. For some reason, I'm having poor network problems. I hope you guys are back again. Um, uh, I know what I wanted to talk about. Thank you, Jacob. I'm glad you're still back again. There was error in the networking problem. I don't know why, for some reason. But the one thing I wanted to talk about is the poor participations of Africans here in the United States. Um, the reason is clear. Political a change in a reform require a change of leaderships, and change of leaderships is those who have a meaningful policy, implement those policy. Some policy may not be effective. Some policy may against a particular set of people. Some policy may against us as an individuals. So therefore, and it is essential that in a democratic society, each leaders or parties or officials or candidates participating in a given legislative elections such as the presidential elections here in the United States that will be taking place on November the 3rd. It's very crucial that many Africans, especially Africans coming from Africa, do not actually participate in these deliberations. And if they do participate, the level of participation is minimal. And the reason is clear. The reason is clear. So I'm going to be elaborating why African participation in an election here in the United States is minimal. And so stay tuned, do not go away. And if you have the opportunity to share, do so as you can. And thank you. Just don't go away. Uh, So I was speaking, I was speaking about African participation here in the United States for elections. So it's quite difficult. African grew up in a repressive system. They grew up in a repressive system from Africa. You know, in Africa, there is no meaningful election. They don't see an outcome of the vote. And you see one person, when you take, for example, although there's a slightly difference from various different African countries, when you speak about Nigeria, you talk about Ghana, you talk about Ivory Coast, you talk about, and then mostly you have the French speaking territory. Political election, the participation is poorly because you have one individual, though they organize election each year, not each year, depending on the length of the period in which presidential is organized. But you have one individual, especially it's like an inheritance. It's like an inheritance. Inheritance, which means even though you are being allowed that is a vote, but your vote doesn't count, and you never find someone win in a meaningful election. You have one single party organize an election and win that election every year, and depending on what types of participations. So it has been so a habit that African has never believed that there is a meaningful change of government through ballot voting. So that is why when they come to United States, they have the same assumptions that it doesn't make any significant difference because where I came from, no election has ever been conducted in a meaningful way that you can see a change of leadership and a handover power to an elected officials. So you see, and when you look at the poll, because each time when there is a voting, at the end of the list, they give a statistical analysis about what people vote. But if you look critically, you will realize that many Africans that migrants that are US citizens here in the United States, they do not participate because they have these perceptions that they already have in Africa. And therefore, what is the significance of voting here in the United States when back in Africa they have the same policy? So they do not even care to participate. So they more focus on their work and working environment, and they focus on that. They do not even register. Some even register and send them their address, or during their driver license they ask if they want to sign up for voting. Well, some will agree, and even when they agree, when the letters of the registration card being dispatched, depending on what state they are, it doesn't matter to them because they have this tendency that no meaningful election can ever be conducted, because growing up in Africa, where no meaningful election or participation has ever been received. Let's take, for example, let's look at Cameroon, for example. Cameroon is a clear example where you have one brutal dictatorship, Paul Biya, that has been in power for 38 years. And he conducts elections as he usually does, but without any meaningful result, because he obviously will be the winner irrespective of other candidates that have been participating. There is no open transparency election or meaningful transparent government. And because of this attitude of one regime control the entire policy, so it's different from somebody coming there, participate in the United States election without knowing that. Of course, United States is a difference. So that's why I encourage, if you are an African and you have registered here in the United States, I encourage you to learn to participate, participate. If you are in whatever state you are here in the United States, it is a crucial that any change of policy affect obviously every one of us. So therefore, going to vote is a critical way to express your will. Here in the United States, every vote counts, and vote can only count if you are actually participating. I remember being one of the members of the voting, and I realized that Africans do not participate in any vote. African in particular, you can see that many candidates will participate, but when you look at the geographical map, Africans do not participate in any elections. Of course, they don't care. They say, well, in Africa, there was no significant change. Why is it that there's going to be a significant change here in the United States? No, I would disagree on that as perceptions. United States need vote. We have two viable candidates that is running in this election here in the United States. We have, on the other hand, Donald Trump, and we have, on the other hand, Joe Biden. Both are candidates that are vying for these most crucial elections, and it's November 3rd, and there has been days have been given so that you can do earlier voting. The reason why they have early voting is to accommodate those who would have busy schedule that they cannot have an opportunity to vote. So therefore, it is essential that for those extra days that are given, depending on which state you are, those states provide extra days. The reason, because you can't be working 7 days a week. So therefore, they provide those opportunities for everyone to accommodate those working individual or busy scheduled individuals to be able to register and vote. So a change cannot take place if you haven't been able to vote. So therefore, that is why I am encourage you, if you have registered, it is very, very that you participate. Participating is crucial. You are a citizen. The reason why you are a U.S. citizen is because you have those advantage, opportunity to participate as a citizen. Those are the citizen opportunity that you have while you are here in the United States, that you can participate in democratic government of this country and make a significant change. So therefore, significant change cannot occur if you are not voting. So therefore, this my message is clear, that any Africans that have not been participating in an election, vote. Let's look for example, in a typical poll, in a typical prison, they call an election area where the vote is called a prison. So depending what prison you are located at, if you are in what prison, so try to look at your own map and find which prison you are. Your physical address is located within a prison. Your physical address or your home address is located within a prison. And each of those prisons represent an election area. So you can Google it and look at your name, your physical address. You will find exactly what prison you belong. So therefore, and then it is the one advantage why early voting is crucial is because early voting, you don't have to vote at your own prison area. You can vote elsewhere. So, but because of that early voting, you can choose and go to any location. And that is an advantage of early voting, that you have that opportunity, that you don't have to worry about this. But I know that especially here in Texas, there is a reform system where you can vote irrespective of whether you are in your prison. So the reform system here in Texas is very, very important. So previously, where if you are in Texas, you must go to your location that you're supposed to vote. But at the current new reform system here in the state of Texas, it doesn't matter. You can go and present your ID card as required by the state law, and your address will be immediately pulled, and will ask if that is your address, and you confirm that that is your address, and that will give you an opportunity to vote. And that is how you share your law. You share your value being a U.S. citizen. That is how you change a government. A government cannot change if you are not participating. I know we had a very frustrating back in Africa, and so we have this perception that what is happening in Africa, so there's no reason why we should vote here in the United States. But I mean, I encourage you that a meaningful change. Let's take, for example, in a prison where 1,200 registered member in that particular prison register to vote, and guess what? Only 120 actually turn out to vote. And guess what? Look at the statistic. You will realize, let's take, for example, in your local government area or in your city council, there is an amendment. Of course, I think many of you have bought a home and you expect the city to either increase taxes or decrease taxes. And some of the cities within your own area will choose to increase taxes for a fiscal year. And they will put that in a vote. Because you don't participate in an election, just imagine in the 1,200 that happen to be in your location prison, and you did not participate, and that law is being put in place to increase the taxes of those homeowners, and you choose not to participate in that election, and you choose not to vote. Guess what? 120 individuals that actually love voting turn out to vote, and the law will be put in place, which the actual number of people that actually turn out to vote happen to be minority. Guess what? The minority will make decisions on your behalf because you failed to turn out to vote. And the next day you'll be complaining that, oh, that city is increasing my taxes, and I am not fully aware why my taxes should be increased. It's because you are not participating. So therefore, participating in your local area is crucial, it's essential, it is vital that if you live here in the United States, no matter whichever state you locate at, city council, whatever election that is being conducted, participate and become member of these to change either the existing system or improve on the system. So that is why I am advising all Africans that are here in the United States that although many people choose not to vote because of the experience they've had in Africa, but this is a different scenario, and that I urge everyone to take advantage of this opportunity to vote. Of course, we have, the days are already gone. We have January, we have November. November 3rd is the presidential election here in the United States, where you have two viable candidates that are running. You have Republican candidate, Donald Trump, and you have Joe Biden, the Democratic candidate. So therefore, you can make a significant difference by making a choice, by voting, choosing who you expect to be a meaningful leadership. And I'm sure you'll be listening all over the TV and everywhere, posters and news, journals, and how each and individuals, of course, you know what Donald Trump has did within his past 3.5 years, because next will be 4 years. So he is a viable Republican that is still running in the same positions. And we have a Democratic candidate. So you would think about what happened. Of course, all of us are thinking about the COVID-19 that has taken the toll of lives of people here in these wonderful nations. I'm sure you will make a sound judgment to decide who is a viable candidate that can make a significant difference here in the United States. You're no longer in Africa, you are physically here in the United States. Therefore, any critical decisions that are made by the leaders of the United States will obviously affect you and your children and your upbringing. So think about it. It's not matters, they're not going to come and force you to go and vote, but you have to take an initial step to go out and vote. Voting is the critical, vital means to change an existing system. And you cannot change an existing system where you are not voting. And that is why I encourage everyone. So look at it, look who is running in your own prison. It is crucial. Look and access internet, read information. Who is running in your system? Look at your own city council. They may be participating in this election. So therefore, I am encouraging all of us to participate by voting. I have already voted, and also I encourage you to also step out and vote. And I know where I work and I look at some individuals, they said, oh, why should I vote? Yeah, they asked, why should I vote? Because the vote doesn't count. Of course, let's take for example, let's take for example, let's take for example, in let's take for example, in previously, for those who attend school, of course, the laws they made affect your children, your schools, your district areas. For example, there was a tax increase. Let's take, for example, let's take the most crucial is the Department of Education. The Department of Education, initially, financial aspect were being given to banks, and banks will not want to lend money to students because they want you to have at least a credit to show proof that your credit is to allow you to be able to borrow money in order to participate, in order to attend school. So those policies were made and voted, and so it was difficult for students to be able to have access to loan because banks will prevent you because they want a meaningful credit for you to be able to obtain loan to go to school. And many people find difficulties to go to school because there's no access to credit. And so when another president was elected, he changed this course of narratives. He allowed the Department of Education to control the area of finances, which means you don't require banks to provide you credit. But you don't need banks. So therefore, the Department of Education provide. So therefore, there's no need for you not to be able to become a good student because worried about loans. Because Department of Education wants you to do well in school. So your result of performance is what is measured whether you can get money. And so that was the challenges. So then you can understand the value of voting. So voting is crucial in any election here in the United States because that is where the reform is made and the promise has been made and those promises can only be manifest if all of us step out and vote. So that is why I am encouraging every individual that voting is crucial in this November 3rd elections. So if you haven't been participating, and this is not just Africans as a whole, but I'm also speaking at some of the actually born African citizens here in the United States. Some do not participate. Some believe that, oh, why should I even vote? Of course, let's look at another critical analysis. Some say because of their religion, they do not vote. And yet, guess what? They work in government. So if you are working in government and you don't expect because of your religion to vote, and what is the reason? What is the rationale why you work in the government? Because government is an institution. So if you are working under that institution, but the same token that you don't want to vote. So what is the rationale why you're working in the government and at the same time you cannot vote? So because of your religion, therefore, if your religion does not allow you to work in that government, because if your religion does not allow you to vote in that government, but it allows you to work in that government, therefore you have to be there should be clarity. So that is why it's very, I mean, I'm looking at it very amazing when people give wrong rationale why they cannot vote in an election. That because of their religion, and that is why they cannot vote, because of their religion doesn't allow them to vote. And so it's really, really contradicted because if you are in a religion, because religion allowed people to participate in an elections. Because it's through that reform that can make a religious, because the reform made by an established institution, an established government, obviously will affect your own member of your religious sect. So therefore, participating in an election is crucial. So I don't see any rationale why you said you cannot participate in an election because your religion forbidding you not to vote. That is You see, those are essential votes that we have, but we cannot count on them because of that false narratives that the religions do not believe, don't allow them to vote because they happen to believe in a certain religion. I am not here to call religions, but I am here to say that voting is crucial in any change of a system or change of governmental institution. So therefore, it requires all of us to participate in vote. So if you haven't, I encourage you. You have last few days. If you hear this, Texas. I don't know when is the last day for those to vote in any location. But however, in Texas, there is ongoing election that you can vote early. So one advantage of voting early is that you don't have to vote in your own location. You can vote elsewhere. And that is very, very important. So you just need to have your ID card and present to the location that you are and vote. And that voting can change, make a significant difference to the institution here in the United States. Of course, let's look at if you are watching and you happen to be from Southern Cameroon or La République du Cameroon, you will obviously agree with me that we have the brutal regime in Africa. A significant change of leadership here in the United States will obviously affect a change of leadership in Africa. So it doesn't matter. So a change of leadership here in the United States will affect the focus of policy in Africa. So what is the meaningful policy towards Africa? United States is the most amazing nation that play a crucial role in a political reform in Africa. So if you don't change the system here, why will you expect a change of system in Africa? So therefore, this is an opportunity that you are fiscal here in the United States to participate and change the political structure here. Will obviously change the political structure in Africa. So it is vital that I encourage many Africans that they do not participate in elections because they say, oh, I have in Africa, it doesn't make any significant difference. So why should I vote here in the United States? No, it's crucial. Voting in the United States is the first step for a meaningful political reform. Voting in the United States is a meaningful first step. For example, when the United States condemned the action in Nigeria, obviously they're speaking on behalf of citizens that are fiscal here in the United States. Let's look at a crucial moment. You see the Israel are partnered with the United States. The reason why they partner with the United States is because of the citizens of Israel that are physically here in these great nations. They participate in all elections in every demographic institution here in the United States. So they will obviously ask the United States government, what can you do to my country back in Israel? So obviously, the United States will stand with Israel because of the citizens of that nation that is physically participate in election here. So therefore, any significant difference can occur in Israel because, let's look, United States independently recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and remove their embassy to Jerusalem. And that is the key point that the United States has its magnificent power to make a significant change. Only can do so if all of us participate in an election here in the United States. So it's crucial that all citizens, irrespective of where you come from, that all citizens of Africa, irrespective whether you're from South Africa, you're from East Africa, you're from West Africa, you're from North Africa, participating in an election here is very, very crucial. So I encourage everyone to join and participate by voting. So it is not a question whether, oh, I don't have to vote. No, it is essential. It is critical. It is vital. So that is why I am here speaking for fellow Africans that November 3rd is here. And therefore, to make a significant vote, there's no reason why you are citizens. You are a citizen because they have been entrusted you here in the United States that you can participate in their democratic reform. And so if you are not participating, what do you expect for a change? Change cannot occur if you are not voting. So that is why Change cannot occur if you are not voting. So therefore, by giving you a citizenship, is giving you that opportunity for you to make a significant political structure change here in the United States. So it is vital. It is not because they don't see you. Whatever you do, you participate, is also being recorded elsewhere. And if you want to find out demographic about your own participation in the election, find out it's open. Go to the state and ask about your own participation. They will give you the detailed report of your participation. So that is why it is crucial. It's not back in Africa where your vote doesn't count. In the United States, vote count. Stay, and I will continue in this line of discussion. Stay and have a wonderful good night. This is Funton Daniel speaking here from the great state for encouraging all Africans to participate in an election.